Over the next year, Arrow's informal training and constant one-upping of his friends became his only purpose. Ava remained the best technical fighter, while Rael's agility and powers went unchallenged. Although Arrow came in second or third in every event, he nearly always had a smile on his face. Even with the influx of new refugees, consecutive boring days were unavoidable. This expedited progress of their HQ and the introduction of meditation and basic martial arts to the training regimen. Arrow continued to improve. When they weren't training or building, Ava, Arrow, and Rael spent their time running around the isolated forest of X12. This led to an evolution to their games. Sneaking around town without anyone noticing, avoiding Till, Kisa, and especially Grant became the most exciting part of the day. This resulted in the trio spending more nights beneath the stars. Enjoying one such night, Arrow, Ava, and Rael sat around a small campfire on the bottom of the sail transport, which was now the roof. They each watched the sky, dreaming of the future. "I'm going to be a hero of the GA, just you wait," Arrow proclaimed, suppressing a yawn. "Why do you want to be a hero so badly?" Ava asked. "There are plenty of other ways to make a difference." Her question was stifling. "I want to help people, I guess," Arrow said. "I want to make sure no one ever has to feel alone. Ever since I was abandoned here, I've noticed one thing everyone has in common. No matter what size ship they arrive on, there is a haunting fear always present." "Like they know something terrible is coming," Rael added. "Exactly," Arrow replied. "I want to help get rid of that." Ava seemed surprised by Arrow's answer. "Well, if you're going to be a hero," she said, "then me and Rael definitely be heroes." Rael chuckled. "Yes, and we are definitely going to have to know how to do more than push-ups," he said. Deciding if he was being made fun of or not, Arrow took a moment before responding. "Wait a minute," he replied, still confused. Rael sat up, locking eyes with Ava, both laughing hysterically. Arrow had never had friends before. He didn't understand that being made fun of by them could be a good thing. He simply smiled in agreement and began to laugh along. He didn't care if his friends were better than him. If anything, it drove Arrow to train even harder. "They have no idea how much I agree with them. If I'm going to be a hero, they will be whatever is above that. All I can do is keep up," he thought. The night lingered on until their eyes could no longer fight the increasing effects of gravity. The slight breeze combined with the warmth of the fire gave room for only calm and comfort. One at a time, the trio fell asleep, each entering their own dream, each, for a brief moment, existing in a world void of evil and sorrow. When the night was darkest, a thunderous earthquake shook the planet. Arrow woke so suddenly he stood all the way up to his feet. The blast from whatever hit the planet not only knocked out the lights but extinguished their fire. Overcoming the feral frenzy brought by the fear of unknown, Arrow frantically looked around. Blindly searching through the darkness, his worries only increased until bumping into Ava. "Shit!" they screamed. After the initial shock, Arrow felt a slight bit of solace. At Ava's side, despite the darkness, he could see she was locked on the sky. "Ava, what's going on? Where's Rael?" Arrow whispered. "It came from off-world," Rael said, his silver hair just visible through the smoke spewing from where the fire once burned. Turning his frightened gaze skyward, Arrow could not see the majestic stars that normally shimmered beyond X-12's atmosphere. Instead, the night sky was smothered by scratching streaks of fire that stretched into outer space. Following the chaotic path of fire, it was clear whatever it was led directly to resupply. Ava panicked, her voice shaking with fear. "Did anyone see it? What hit the planet? Was it a weapon or is it the shadow?" "Something large crashed into the planet. If it's the shadow or GA, I know not," Rael calmly replied. "Everyone needs to take several deep breaths. Remember, I can see in the dark." Leaping from the HQ, they left the hollow, sprinting through the woods and up the mountain, until reaching a point overlooking town, only to be greeted by a horrible sight. Resupply stood, but a GA cruiser had crashed into the desert on the opposite side of town, setting fire to the surrounding structures. From where they stood, a billowing orange glow of melting metal and fire blanketed the horizon. The cruiser's bow and crowning battering ram were submerged underground. The rest of the ship rested on itself in an unnatural way. "The GA cruiser is supposed to be the most formidable warship in existence," Rael said. "What is capable of doing this?" They spent only a second more at the vantage point, spotting the quickest path to town. The force of the crash was so immense it even stripped the oblong velvet leaves from the bio trees at the edge of the forest. Rushing down the mountain, Arrow prepared to witness the repercussions of war. Faster! Run faster! Arrow shouted between breaths. We need to find Liaison Till or Kisa, Ava replied. They'll know what to do. Upon arriving at the market, they paused to catch their breath, the heat from the fires intensifying the situation. Seeing Liaison Till in full primal mode, extinguishing burning buildings with a cryogun while barking orders at anyone within earshot was surreal. Put out the smaller fires before they consume the market. The drones are powering up and will be able to deal with the cruiser. If we put these 2 buildings out, then the town should be safe, Till shouted, directing anyone and everyone. Without hesitation, Ava and Rael picked up the first containers they could to retrieve water. Who would have thought I would miss Ren and his ability to control water, Arrow thoughtlessly said, following his friends. He could put the whole town out with a wave of his hand. Who's Ren? Ava questioned. No one, someone who used to live here, Arrow replied, remaining silent until his bucket filled. When you 3 are done, hurry back. We need to turn our focus towards the cruiser, Till ordered as he stomped by. 1 bucket load of water each, and the major threats to resupply were reduced enough for others to manage. Till gathered the strongest and led them through the extinguished buildings towards the wreckage. Clearing the edge of town, they saw Nurse Kisa in her humanoid form. Tall, poised, and emotionless, Kisa wielded the strength of her bipedal form, dragging 3 unconscious bodies towards an enormous inflatable tent serving as a triage site. Screams from those she had already rescued echoed off the wreckage through the warm air. Those with first aid experience and a strong stomach come with me, Kisa shouted, reaching the entrance to the inflatable tent. Ava took off running without a word. Arrow and Rael instinctually began to follow, but Till stopped them. No, I need you 2 to help me get more people out, Till said. It will be dangerous, but I know you can handle it. Following the liaison, Arrow and Rael took in the full sight of the blistering cruiser. What could have done this? Arrow said. It looks like it has been mauled by a massive beast, equal to, if not bigger in size, Rael replied. The only part of the GA cruiser not flayed to shreds was the name Liberty painted across the hull. Most of the viewports spewed fire, while explosions occurred across various sections leading to the highest points near the engines. Liaison Till tried to contact the bridge using his nano-helmet. When he received no immediate response, Arrow and Rael stared at each other with concern. The disaster drones finished powering up and began to fly, some moving to extinguish the fires around the wreckage, others flying directly into the chaos, assessing the status and integrity of the Liberty. GAC Liberty, come in. This is GA Liaison 6489, over. GA Liaison 6489 to GAC Liberty, over. Till had no luck reaching anyone on board. You 2 begin searching around the wreckage for anyone who made it out. Don't go inside without me. While the liaison continued to shout into his comms, Arrow and Rael began their search through the smoldering chunks of debris littering the ground. The dirt around the edge of the crash was turned, switching between soft mounds and gutted valleys, making it hard to get close. Following the nearest edge of solid ground, Arrow and Rael made it all the way to the stern side bow. Unable to make a full circle around the perimeter of the crash, they changed focus. Ignoring part of the liaison's orders, they looked for a way inside on their return journey, one unburdened by fire or earth. Making their way to the port side of the cruiser, Arrow and Rael stopped to look at a large cannon that had fallen from the top forward parapet of the vessel. Reaching the closest side of the wreckage, they made a discovery. Right where the cruiser met the dirt, there was an exterior service hatch, rotated almost 90 degrees and parallel with the ground. More than half covered by dirt, they exhumed the off-axis entrance as quickly as they could. How are we going to get in? Arrow asked, seeing no handle or any other way of opening the hatch. Rael did not respond. He simply looked around to make sure no one else could see, then stepped into a shadow cast by an overhanging sheet of torn metal. With a scrape and a clunk, the bulkhead door flopped to the ground. Rael invited Arrow in with a smile and wave, as if the off-axis and crinkled service hatch were the entrance to his home. Ignoring the ill-timed joke, Arrow ran past Rael, down the center of the dark serviceway, both careful not to touch anything with a dark orange glow. They ran until finding a way to climb further up the ship towards the suspended stern. Reaching a main junction that split off in every direction, the directory was no help. Rael and Arrow didn't know which way to go. Help! Help us! Over here! The disoriented looks on Rael and Arrow's faces vanished as their direction became clear. They realized then that they didn't need to know exactly where they were going. They just needed to save everyone they could by running towards the voices crying out for help. "Can you portal them out?" Arrow asked before prying open a door and freeing a group of survivors. "No, my powers don't really work like that," Rael said, carrying an unconscious GA cadet. "Okay then, here," Arrow said. Approaching an emergency fire station, he pulled out the fire hose. "Go around and grab every fire hose or cable you can find. We can use them to lower those who can't climb." "Got it," Rael replied just before disappearing into the nearest shadow. It took longer than expected, but Arrow and Rael managed to get a large group of survivors out of the wreckage, not before running through curtains of sparks and open flames. Each time they went back into the boiling wreckage, the cries of those in need guided them. Using their combined strength, they were able to carry the injured crew members out, often two at a time. Unable to establish contact with the bridge, Liaison Till brought the remaining available hands to usher those rescued by Arrow and Rael to the first aid tent. Emerging from their third trip, Till joined Arrow and Rael, rolling his eyes at their predictability. "Come on," Till said. "We need to check 2 more areas before making our way up to the bridge. We're going to stick together the entire way. Let's move." After clearing the remaining souls from the emergency evacuation areas of the cruiser, Arrow, Rael, and Till braved the fiery climb to the bridge. Their ascent was in darkness, except for the 3 gashes torn into the side of the gangway flashing with the sparks of bear-grinding wires. Reaching the top, they approached the blast doors of the bridge at the opposite end of the passageway. Forced to pry open the door with their hands, once inside they were greeted by a gruesome sight. Thick black smoke billowed across the ceiling, escaping out of 3 punctured holes in the viewport large enough to walk through. The control stations running along the sides of the bridge were abandoned. Each control panel was bent and wrinkled, as if suddenly pulled towards the viewport. There was only one body still at its post, firmly seated at the captain's chair. Too large to be the captain, the threatening figure clad in cyber green and black nano combat armor was unresponsive and still as a statue. "What happened here?" Arrow shouted over the deafening roar of escaping air and fire. Taking several steps closer to the large, armored being, when he received no response, Arrow turned back. The look on Liaison Till's face struck fear into Arrow, then Rael. "There are supposed to be at least 10 crew members on this bridge," Till said. "That viewport is made with enchanted Dissipian crystal. Designed with such strength they are often repurposed when a cruiser goes down. Whatever did this made one of the strongest known enchanted substances around melt like butter." "So someone cut in and sucked everyone out? Like it captured them?" Arrow asked. "Not someone, but something," Till answered. "And I'd say it was the emptiness of space that claimed their lives." Liaison Till moved past the captain's chair, further inspecting the 3 large holes punctured through the main viewport. Arrow's face curdled at the realization of how deadly space itself could be. "If everyone was sucked out, then how is this guy still here?" Rael asked, beginning to inspect the seemingly lifeless body. "After the attack, he must have come in to steer the cruiser to safety. They couldn't radio us because their comms were taken out in the attack," Liaison Till responded, looking at his AAD after scanning one of the vast holes in the front viewport. "It says Major Lessee on his badge. Wait, I think I know this guy," Rael announced. "No, you don't," Arrow replied, assuming it was another one of Rael's attempts at humor. "Come on, get him up. We don't have much time," Hill ordered, still focused on his wrist device. Arrow and Rael each took a turn attempting to remove the stone-like Major Lessee from his post. "What's with this guy?" Arrow protested. Using his full strength, he was still unable to peel even a finger up. "It's his suit. Keep pulling," Rael replied. Arrow and Rael's struggle became comical as they did everything they could to try and move the Major's body. At last, they had caught Liaison Till's attention, who moved to remove the Major himself. Upon failing, the Liaison stepped back, assessing the predicament. "The combat armor has entered crash protocol. All movements are ceased. He's literally locked onto that chair with his legs and hands. What's the proper angle? How much pressure?" Liaison Till said, hyper-fixated on the problem. What are you doing?" Arrow asked, confused by Till's ramblings. "All right, come on, help me with him," Liaison Till ordered, ignoring the fact they caught him in a deliberating rant. "Arrow, you pull from his head, Rael from his feet, and we should be able to detach him." It took the full strength of all 3 of them to pry the unconscious Major's body from its post. As explosions occurred on either side of the bridge, Arrow hoisted the Major's locked arms onto his shoulders while Rael picked up his legs. "He's too heavy!" Arrow screamed. "Just go!" Rael cried. Heading out the blast doors, Arrow and Rael did not wait for Liaison Till, who was curiously downloading something from the cruiser's computer. They moved as fast as they could back down the passageway towards the descending gangway. "How are we going to carry this guy down the ladder?" Rael asked, a bounce in his voice in rhythm with each step he took. "I'm sure Till will think of something," Arrow responded in the same rhythm. A sense of pride came over Arrow. He felt at home being of use to those in need. Only 2 steps later, and a large explosion changed the theme of everything. The force bounced them off the passageway walls. When they settled, Arrow and Rael looked at each other. Seeing they were both okay, they began to chuckle, trying to hide their fear with laughter. "Let's not do that again," Arrow said, slowly getting to his feet. Not a moment later, the numbing, sharp sound of tearing metal widened their eyes to the size of Till's. The section of the cruiser they stood in slowly began to peel away. The passageway pitched forward, only taking a second for the angle to become so severe they were forced into sliding against their will. Rael and Arrow screamed, still holding the Major's unconscious body as they slid uncontrollably towards the fiery molten end of the passageway. Kicking and scrambling to slow their descent, the weight of the Major was too much to control. To Arrow, everything slowed, as if time itself were but several moments from stopping. "Not like this!" Rael cried. "Is this the end?" Arrow thought, panicking into hysteria.